Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this narration of the web series The Survivor Becomes the Dungeon, taken from r/h/y. If you are new to the series, there is a playlist listed in the description. And as always, I hope that you enjoy. Chapter 5. Bandits. Bandits are the scum of the world, the absolute worst of the worst, and the crap-stained underside of the bottom of the barrel. Beautiful communities with fantastic people have fallen to trash like this, which always infuriates me whenever I think about it for too long. These bandits before me aren't the same scum of my world, but they don't have to be. These are the beasts in the shape of people. But even then, some of them don't even look human, and I don't mean that just in a derogatory way. There are folks with green skin and tusks, others that look human but with pointy ears. Some have pure black, almost purplish skin, some bird person, and what can only be described as a bull with muscles that can stand on its hind legs. With Basti prowling around, I count a total of 10 bandits. Through Basti, I can smell smoke and the musk of filth. It doesn't take long, but I find the camp that the bandits have seemingly set up. It's currently empty, with the dying embers of fire from the morning having been improperly put out. There's little to see regarding personal effects. Some scrap of bread and dried meats over by a wagon covered in filth, though Basti can pick up the stench of dried blood. One tent looked nicer than the others. Having Basti step inside, there was a proper cot with a feathered pillow and a blue cotton sheets. Across from the cot was a desk, which had some red silk covering. Having Basti peer over the edge, there are a few books and a couple of scrolls of some kind, along with an ink and a quill. Between the desk and the bed, along one of the walls of the large tent, was a chest, like one of those simple latchkey chests. It's not like Basti can open it, so I don't bother asking her to. After a few moments, I decided to try and take these items, like how I can pull in stuff from the cave. It takes more energy than it would compared to trying to do it within the confines of my bubble, but would clear out the only tent with anything worthwhile. Stalking out, Basti makes her way back to where the bandits seem to set up. There's a fairly wide dirt road, and I would say an F-250.5 could drive down this with little to no issue. The bullman and the green-skinned woman seem to be chopping down a decent tree by the road, performing one of the most simplistic and overused gambits common enough to transcend worlds. Basti, wipe out this filth from my territory. Let none escape. I don't need to guide her. After replying with a confirmation, she steps forward and melts into the shadows. I wasn't expecting that. She starts from the outside of the group, her presence sliding up to the purple-skinned woman and a human-looking man who is shooting the crap. In a flash of darkness, Basti lunges out, claws outstretched and slashing the man's throat, pushing off the still-standing corpse and pouncing on the woman. Her head soon found itself in an open maw of Basti, her ferocious fangs clamping down and crushing the skull with a sharp, twisting motion that leaves the head dangling. Some strands of flesh are the only things keeping the head attached as a shower of blood sprays up of the neck of the woman. Basti is gone in a flash, the corpses barely landing with a dull thumps into the dirt and grass by the time she's dived back into the shadows, whereas I've received vast amounts of energy, images, and memories that aren't my own, flashing through my mind's eye. I learned some things, but honestly, I give 2 craps about that. There are more scum to exterminate. Basti circles the group, finding a loner, who seems to be off starting a golden river. Basti didn't even give him the courtesy of using her claws, lunging up and out of the shadows as he slammed her paws into the back of his head, smashing his brain case into the tree in front of him. The corpse remains there for a few moments before falling back, grey viscera sticking to the clumps against the tree as he crumpled into a heap. I receive another wave of energy, the feeling almost addictive as I seem to grow more powerful with each kill. Finally, a good use for bandits. And it's not only me. While Basti receives only a fraction of the energy I might be getting, it is a considerable amount. She moves faster, yet proceeding with even more care as she stalks her prey, silently, without relying on shadows. Basti soon comes across a well-dressed, pointed-ear woman in purple robes and some silver trimming adorning her body, and leaning on her ornate staff. She looks almost bored, watching the bandits work on setting up. She doesn't look like a bandit, but she's by no means a prisoner or here against her will. So she may as well be complicit. That means she's got to go. Basti accepts the go-ahead and is rushed forward towards the woman. However, it seems she was more aware than she previously appeared. Her gaze snapped over towards Basti at the last second and moved to dodge, receiving a deep gash along her plump thigh as she spills to the ground with a scream. Basti skids to a stop as she comes around for a second pass. Though the ambush site is soon buzzing with activity, sounds of movement rushing towards the screaming woman, Basti ducked under the whizzing arrow she sensed before I even reacted. The pointed-ear woman is shouting words I can vaguely understand, though I know for sure it isn't any language I know. Suddenly, a wave of ice launched from the end of her staff at Basti. The big cat tanked the hit with her teeth and clamped down on the woman's throat, ripping and tearing with a smooth twist as she continued to run, diving into the next shadow. Next is an even more grisly and brutal scene as 4 of the remaining bandits are screaming and calling out for their allies, striking blades into shadows and loosing arrows at the slightest movement. There was one grim humor for me as Basti pounced back on the black-skinned man, the notched arrow from his bow being loosed as he ended up nailing the green-tusked woman right in the eye. All that was left is the bullman, who was nearly 7 to 8 feet tall and wielding a massive warhammer. He was bellowing a challenge call to Basti, who accepted it as she stepped out from behind a large tree, her ebony maw glistening with the brutally fresh red blood of his comrades. She rushes the bull, who takes a step back due to the pure intimidation he feels facing Basti, who slides between his legs, slashing at his inner thigh with the claws and sending him to one knee. He freaks out, gripping the hammer and wildly swinging it into the air. Basti closes back on the bull, ducking and weaving past the swings as she hops onto his back, claws digging into the thick back flesh while she bites into those ribs under his shoulder. He's still alive as she pounces off of him, the force of her legs sending him sprawling as his horns rip into the dirt and grass. Basti ducks into the shadow before erupting out beside the bull, landing on his chest as he looks up at her, the sun blinding him as she sinks her teeth into his throat, ripping it free from his body and ending him. Well, Basti, it looks like you've been holding out on me. I didn't know that you could do all that. Honestly, I was expecting this to be a little harder and somewhat unfair to you. My rage against bandits has gotten the better of me. However, I'm proud of you for being able to step up to the plate and excel. Good work, Basti. Now, go ahead and help me collect the bodies and gear. It looks like I have some studying to do. End of chapter.
I would quickly like to thank the T5 channel members and Patreons. Casper Arnholtz, Cam Maxwell, Barky, Lord Azrekahl, It's Difficult to Pronounce, Dragzoon W.R.E, Holly's Sister, Arcadian. Thank you very much.